This is an abbreviated overview of indoor air pollution. Imagine a student who gets sick a lot. They're lethargic, they're plagued by a persistent wet cough, respiratory infections, painful headaches. As the school year goes on, they're out for 2 weeks for a sinus infection. Later, they have to spend the night in a hospital because of breathing treatments. Over the course of the year, they're out for weeks and weeks, dozens of days of class time missed. Then this interesting thing happens. They go home for the summer, they're healthy. They're able to go outside, play, ride their bike, do whatever they want. But then when they come back at the beginning of the school year the next year, it's right back to the same thing. Respiratory infection, pain, missed days. This is the curse of indoor air pollution, and it's not only a problem in schools, it's a problem in buildings and office places across the United States. The objective of today's lecture is to gain an understanding of how human activities have physical, chemical, and biological consequences within the atmosphere. The learning objectives are to identify indoor air pollutants and describe the effects of indoor air pollutants. The essential knowledge will be about carbon monoxide, indoor air pollutant classification, indoor air pollutants from their natural sources as well as their anthropogenic sources, common indoor air pollution, volatile organic compounds, common air combustion, and radon. The etiology of indoor air pollution is the investigation into the cause or causation of diseases or conditions that are associated with the presence of indoor air pollutants. However, many of the chemical contaminants in indoor air pollution actually come from outside sources. These contaminants can be pollutants from things like automobile exhaust, and they can enter into the buildings through poorly located vents or windows or doors. Indoor sources exist as well, and oftentimes these are volatile organic compounds that are associated with things like industrial solvents or adhesives for upholstery or for carpeting. They can also be environmental tobacco smoke or other types of respirable particulate matter that can come from things like kitchen stoves, fireplaces, or uneven space heaters. These aren't the only sources, and in fact, synthetic fragrances from perfumes or personal care products can also contribute to indoor air pollution. There are a number of biological or natural contaminants as well, things like pollens, bacteria, viruses, funguses, and oftentimes molds, which are the most caustic. These contaminants can sometimes be associated with stagnant water that is accumulated behind things such as humidifiers or drain pipes, but they can also be sources such as insects or bird droppings. The list of common combustible indoor air pollutants is very similar to the list that you would find for outdoor air pollutants. It includes things like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, particulate matter, but in this case the list also includes things like tobacco smoke. The health effects can be wide-ranging, yet they're often more acute because indoor air pollution tends to be a lot more concentrated and less disparate than outdoor air pollution. It includes things like respiratory diseases such as emphysema, bronchitis, or asthma. It could be things like lung damage that persists even after symptoms such as coughing or sore throat completely disappears. It could also result in reduced resistance to infections or increase overall or general fatigue. The etiology of conditions and diseases associated with indoor air pollution is not just limited to the chemical and biological contaminants. It also includes things like building design, ventilation, and electronics. In the United States in the 1970s, the oil embargo led to building designers making buildings that were more airtight with less outdoor ventilation and a need to improve overall efficiency. In general, this was a good thing, but the reduction in ventilation led to a number of indoor air pollutant problems. Things like malfunctioning heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems have increased the rate of indoor air pollutions, and these poor building designs and constructions of buildings with more individuals pushed into smaller spaces has also contributed to a dramatic rise in indoor air pollutants. One interesting thing is that gadgets such as microwaves, televisions, or computers emit electromagnetic radiation, which can ionize with the air. Extensive wiring without proper grounding can also create high magnetic fields. All of these sources have been found to lead to cancer. One type of indoor air pollutant that's become of particular concern recently is radon, which refers to the radioactive gas that's produced naturally by the decay of uranium that's found in rocks and soil. In 2005, 2 studies showed definitive evidence to associate residential radon exposure with lung cancer. The 2 studies combined data from several previous residential studies and confirmed the radon health risks predicted by occupational studies of underground miners who breathed in radon for periods of years. Early in the debate about radon-related health risks, researchers questioned whether occupational studies could be used to calculate risks from exposure to radon in the home or office settings. However, in reference to the study, former director of the EPA's Indoor Environmental Division said, "These findings effectively end any doubts about the risks to Americans of having radon in their homes. We know that radon is a carcinogen. The research confirms that breathing low levels of radon can lead to lung cancer." Radon gas gets into the home through cracks in the foundation or basement walls. It can be dissolved in groundwater and enter the home through a well. Once in the home, exposure to radon gas over years can lead to radon-induced lung cancer, and recently it was found that this is the second leading cause for lung cancer in the United States. Sick building syndrome. According to the EPA 2014 Indoor Air Pollutant Fact Sheet, the term sick building syndrome is used to describe the situation in which building occupants experience acute health and comfort effects that appear to be linked to time spent inside of the building. There are no specific illnesses or causes that can be identified. The complaints may be localized in a particular room or zone, or may be widespread throughout the building. In contrast, the term building-related illness is used when symptoms of diagnosable illnesses are identified and can be attributed directly to airborne building contaminants. A 1984 World Health Organization committee report suggested that up to 30% of new remodeled buildings worldwide may be subject to excessive complaints related to indoor air quality. Often this condition is temporary, but some buildings have long-term problems. Frequently, problems result when a building is operated or maintained in a manner that is inconsistent with the original design or prescribed operating procedures. Sometimes indoor air problems are a result of poor building design or occupational activities.